Beverly Washington had spent 10 years raising Carter Bennett's 3 children, and he'd never once looked at her like a woman. She was the help. Invisible. The one who made breakfast, braided hair, wiped tears, while he dated women who didn't know his kids' names. Now she stood in the back pew of St. Michael's Episcopal, watching him marry one of them. The bride was perfect, young, polished, the right kind of woman for a billionaire CEO. Beverly wore navy blue so no one would notice her. But then Emma, his 18-year-old daughter, stood up. The church went silent. Emma turned, looked directly at Beverly, and said 5 words that changed everything. "Dad, you're marrying the wrong woman." Welcome to our channel, where we bring you emotional stories that stay with you. If you're new here, hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss a story. And if you're returning, thank you. Your support means everything. Now, stay until the end, drop a comment with your thoughts, and let's begin. The gasp that went through St. Michael's Episcopal sounded like wine through magnolia trees. Soft, then building into something that couldn't be ignored. Beverly's fingers went numb around her purse strap. Every head in the church turned toward her. 200 guests in pastel spring colors and judgment. Carter Bennett stood frozen at the altar, his hand still holding Vanessa's. His bride's perfectly made-up face went from porcelain to crimson in 3 seconds flat. "Emma." Carter's voice carried that tone, the one that said, "We'll discuss this later." But Emma didn't sit down. "No, Dad." Emma's voice shook, but she kept going. "We've been quiet for 6 months. Since you told us you were getting married. We tried. We really did. But Grace cried herself to sleep last night because Vanessa told her she couldn't bring Mr. Whiskers to the reception. A stuffed cat. Beverly had sewn that cat's arm back on 4 times. Grace slept with it every night. "Emma, sit down." Vanessa's voice was tight. Sweet on the surface, steel underneath. "This is inappropriate." "You know what's inappropriate." Dylan stood now too, his teenage frame all sharp angles in his rented tux. "Telling us to call you Mom, when our actual mom's been dead for 10 years and you've known us for 6 months. Oh God." Beverly tried to make herself smaller in the pew. This wasn't her doing. She'd never said a word against Vanessa, not to the kids, not to anyone. She'd helped Emma pick out her junior bridesmaid dress. She'd kept her thoughts locked down tight where they belonged. Boys and girls. The minister looked desperately at Carter. But Grace was standing now too. All 3 of them, lined up at the front of the church like they'd planned it. Which they probably had. Beverly knew these kids. She'd raised them. "Bev makes my favorite pancakes every Sunday," Grace said, her voice small but clear. "She knows I like the chocolate chips in a smiley face. She reads to me every night. She braids my hair. She came to every single one of my soccer games, even when it rained. She's been here for 10 years. The emphasis on those last 2 words landed like an accusation. Because Vanessa had been here for 6 months. She'd showed up after Carter made his first Forbes list, after the company went public, after he stopped being a grieving widower with 3 kids and became a billionaire CEO with a tragic backstory. Beverly had watched it happen. The sudden interest from women who'd never looked at Carter twice when he was surviving on 4 hours of sleep and microwave dinners, when his shirts were wrinkled and his eyes were hollow. "This is a family matter," Vanessa said, her smile straining. "Perhaps we should." "She is family." Emma's voice cracked. "She's more family than you'll ever be." Carter's mother stood up from the second row. Margaret Bennett, dripping in pearls and disapproval. "Carter, control your children." But Carter wasn't looking at his kids anymore. He was looking past them, past the 200 guests, past the flowers that cost more than Beverly's annual salary. He was looking at her. Beverly wanted to disappear. Wanted the old wooden pew to swallow her whole. This was everything she'd spent 10 years avoiding. Being seen. Being named. Being the thing that made everything complicated. "Bev." His voice cut through the whispers. "Stand up." Her legs didn't work. Couldn't. Every eye in the church was on her, and she could read their thoughts. The help. How inappropriate. How embarrassing. "Carter, this is absurd." Vanessa's voice lost its sweetness. "She's your employee." "She's not just—" Emma started, but Carter held up his hand. "Stand up, Bev. Please." The please did it. That word, from a man who rarely asked for anything because he was used to paying for everything. Beverly's legs moved before her brain caught up. She stood, and the navy dress that had seemed so sensible this morning now felt like a statement. "I didn't want to be noticed. I wanted to disappear." But Carter was walking. Down from the altar. Past Vanessa, whose mouth had fallen open in a way that would have horrified her if she could see it. Past the minister, who looked like he was praying for divine intervention. Past his mother's scandalized gasp. He walked down the aisle, his stride long and determined. The same way he'd walked through the house for 10 years, always moving, always thinking 3 steps ahead, never stopping long enough to see what was right in front of him. Until now. He stopped 2 feet from her pew. Up close, she could see the pulse jumping in his throat, the slight tremor in his hands. His eyes were gray-blue, like Charleston skies before a storm, and she'd spent 10 years not letting herself look directly at them. "How long?" he asked. Her throat closed. "Mr. Bennett, how long have you been there? Really there? Not just the logistics, not just keeping us running. When did you stop being the nanny and become—" He stopped. Swallowed hard. "When did you become everything?" The whispers exploded. Beverly's face burned. This couldn't be happening. This was a nightmare. She'd wake up in her small room off the kitchen, where she'd lived for 10 years, where she'd learned every creak of the house, every rhythm of the family that wasn't hers but somehow was. "Dad." Emma's voice. Softer now. "We need her." Carter didn't look away from Beverly. "I know." 2 words. That's all it took. 2 words for Beverly Washington to realize that the man she'd loved in careful, quiet, manageable pieces for 10 years was about to blow her entire life apart. Carter Alexander Bennett. Margaret's voice could cut glass. "You will not humiliate this family." But Carter's jaw set in that stubborn way Beverly knew meant he'd made up his mind. She'd seen it when he decided to take the company public, when he'd fought for custody of his sister's kids, when he'd worked 70-hour weeks to keep everything afloat after his wife died. "I think," he said slowly, "I've been humiliating myself." He turned to face the church. To face Vanessa, standing at the altar in $10,000 of silk and lace, her face a mask of fury. "I'm sorry," he said. And he sounded it. This was a mistake. The church erupted. Beverly's hands shook as Dylan guided her down the side aisle toward the exit. The kids had formed a protective circle around her. Emma in front, Dylan at her side, Grace's small hand gripping hers. They moved through chaos. Vanessa screaming, Margaret demanding explanations, guests standing and talking over each other, phones out to capture the scandal. The May heat hit Beverly like a wall when they pushed through the church doors. Charleston humidity wrapped around her, thick and close. The garden behind St. Michael's smelled like jasmine and wisteria, too sweet, suffocating. "Bev, breathe." Emma's hand was on her back. When had Emma gotten so grown? Beverly remembered her at 8, all gangly limbs and grief, the day after the funeral when she'd climbed into Beverly's lap and said, "Don't leave us too." "I shouldn't have." Beverly's voice came out ragged. "Y'all shouldn't have done that. Your father was getting married. You can't just." He was making a mistake. Dylan's voice was firm. He had Carter's jaw, his mother's dark eyes. "We all knew it. You knew it." Beverly had known it. Had watched Vanessa measure furniture in the house for 6 months, talk about updating Grace's room. Grace's room that still had the butterfly wallpaper her mother had picked out, that Grace refused to change. Had watched Vanessa smile at Carter while checking her phone when he talked about the kids. Had felt sick when Carter told her he'd proposed. But knowing and saying were different things. Beverly had spent 38 years learning what you could say and what you kept locked behind your teeth. "Miss Beverly." Grace's flower crown was sliding off, blonde curls escaping in every direction. "Did we mess up?" Daddy looked mad. Beverly knelt, navy dress pooling on stone, and fixed the crown. White roses, baby's breath. She'd taught Grace how to braid these same flowers into chains when she was 5. "Baby girl, Your daddy's got a lot to figure out right now. But we told the truth. Grace's bottom lip trembled. You always say tell the truth. I do. And you did. Beverly's hands stilled in Grace's hair. Truth was complicated when you were the help. When you'd signed papers 10 years ago that said you'd maintain professional boundaries, that you understood your position in the household, that you'd never forget your place. Her place. Back of the church. Navy dress. Invisible. Except she hadn't been invisible. Not to these kids. Not to Bev. Carter's voice made her freeze. She didn't turn around. Didn't trust herself to look at him. Behind her, she could hear the church doors opening. Guests streaming out. The buzz of voices that meant this would be all over Charleston by nightfall. The Bennett wedding disaster. Can you believe? The nanny. How mortifying. Kids, go to the car. Carter's voice had that edge that meant don't argue. Marcus is waiting. Marcus was Carter's brother, the best man, probably having a coronary over the scandal. Emma hesitated, but Dylan took Grace's hand and pulled his sisters toward the parking lot. Beverly stood slowly, keeping her back to Carter, watching the kids disappear around the corner. Then silence. Just Charleston afternoon sounds, a bird calling, cars on Meeting Street, the distant bells from another church. And Carter Bennett's breathing behind her, slightly uneven, like he'd been running. Look at me. She couldn't. If she looked at him, if she saw whatever was in his face right now, she'd crack wide open. 10 years of careful, quiet discipline would shatter. Beverly. Please. His hand touched her shoulder. Light, asking permission. That broke something in her chest. She turned. He'd loosened his tie. His hair, always perfectly styled, was disheveled like he'd been running his hands through it. And his eyes. God, his eyes looked desperate. Tell me the truth, he said. The kids, they were right, weren't they? Her mouth dried. About you. About us. About the fact that I've been looking for something I already had and was too goddamn blind to see. Mr. Bennett. Don't. His voice went rough. Don't Mr. Bennett me. You've been Beverly Ann Carter in this house for years. When it was 3 a.m. and Grace had a fever. When Emma failed her math test and cried in the kitchen. When Dylan got suspended for fighting. You never called me Mr. Bennett when it mattered. So don't start now. Beverly's throat burned. This isn't appropriate. No. He laughed, sharp and bitter. What's not appropriate is that I almost married a woman who doesn't know my kids' favorite foods. Who doesn't know that Dylan still sleeps with his light on because of nightmares. Who doesn't know that Emma stress bakes or that Grace can't sleep without a story. A woman who's known them 6 months and thinks she can replace you. I'm the nanny, Beverly said. The words tasted like ash. I was hired to take care of your children. That's what I did. You did more than that. He stepped closer. She could smell his cologne, something cedar and expensive that she'd grown to associate with safety. You held this family together when I was falling apart. You were there for every single moment I missed. Every game, every concert, every breakdown. You were there, Bev. And I took it for granted. You paid me. Don't. His voice cracked. Don't make this about money. Please. The church doors opened again. Margaret's voice carried. Carter, we need to speak. Now. Carter's jaw clenched. He didn't look away from Beverly. I need to handle this. The wedding, Vanessa, the guests. My mother. But this conversation isn't over. He walked back toward the church, shoulders set for battle. Beverly stood in the garden alone, jasmine smell thick in her throat, and realized her entire life had just changed. She'd been invisible for 10 years. She wasn't invisible anymore. And she had no idea if that was a blessing or a curse. Quick pause. If you're feeling this story, hype it so others can find it. Comment where you're watching from. Now, back to the story. The Bennett house sat on South Battery, 3 stories of white columns and black shutters, with a view of Charleston Harbor that cost more than Beverly would make in 5 lifetimes. She'd lived here for 10 years and still felt like a guest. Marcus dropped them off at 4 p.m. The wedding reception that never happened. The cake nobody ate. Beverly had planned to be gone by now. Packed bag in her room. Bus ticket to her sister's place in Columbia. She'd typed her resignation letter 3 times in the past 6 months, ever since Carter announced his engagement. But she'd never sent it. Because of Emma's AP exams. Dylan's basketball playoffs. Grace's first sleepover. There was always one more thing, one more reason to stay. Miss Beverly? Grace's voice was small. She'd fallen asleep in the car. Flower crowns smashed against the window. Are you leaving? Beverly's chest tightened. What makes you think that, baby? Vanessa said you would. After the wedding. She said she didn't need a nanny, and you'd have to find somewhere else to work. Emma's head snapped up from her phone. She said what? Last week. Grace climbed out of the car, her fancy dress wrinkled. When Daddy wasn't home. She was measuring my room and she said. Her voice wobbled. She said she was turning it into a gym. Beverly's hands fisted in her dress. Vanessa had been planning to redecorate Grace's room. The room with butterfly wallpaper that Grace's mother had picked out 2 months before she died. The room that Grace still needed exactly as it was, even if Vanessa thought it was childish for an 8-year-old. Nobody's touching your room, Dylan said. His voice had dropped last year, trying to sound like a man, but Beverly still heard the scared boy underneath. And Bev's not going anywhere. Right. 3 faces turned to her. Emma, who'd been 8 when her mother died, who'd learned to be tough because someone had to be. Dylan, who'd been 6, who'd stopped talking for 3 months until Beverly sat with him every night and read Harry Potter until he finally whispered along. And Grace, who'd been 6 months old, who didn't remember her mother at all, who thought Beverly's hands were what mother's hands felt like. Let's get inside, Beverly said. Non-answer. She'd learned those too. The house was silent. No caterers, no party, no celebration. Just the 5 of them, Beverly, 3 kids and Marcus, who disappeared upstairs muttering about damage control and phone calls. The afternoon light through the tall windows made everything look golden and false. Grace kicked off her flower girl shoes. Emma pulled bobby pins from her hair. Dylan loosened his tie and headed for the kitchen. Normal. They were trying to make this normal. Beverly should start dinner. That's what she always did. 6 o'clock, dinner on the table. Family together. 10 years of routine. But her legs felt hollow. Bev. Emma's voice pulled her back. You okay? I'm fine, baby. Don't lie. Emma had Carter's directness. You look like you're gonna pass out. Beverly made herself smile. Just been a long day. Yeah. Emma twisted a bobby pin in her fingers. Listen about what we did. Y'all spoke your truth. Can't be mad at that. Vanessa's gonna be pissed. Emma Grace Bennett, language. She's gonna be angry, Emma corrected, but her eyes held something worried. And grandmother Margaret. And like half of Charleston. Everyone's gonna talk. They would. Beverly knew how this worked. She'd grown up in Charleston, watched the old families and their rules. There was a way things were done, and disrupting a Bennett wedding wasn't it. Black Nanny breaks up white billionaire's wedding. The story would write itself. Let them talk, Beverly said. But her voice shook. Emma stepped closer. She was 18, almost done with high school, heading to college in the fall. When had she gotten so grown? Thank you. For staying. For raising us. For everything. Baby, you don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. Emma's eyes filled. Because you could have left. After that first year when Dad was a mess and we were all a mess and everything was terrible. You could have walked away. But you didn't. You stayed. And I need you to know, her voice cracked. You're my mom. Not because my real mom is gone, but because you're the one who's been here. Who knows me. Who loves me even when I'm awful. Beverly's vision blurred. You're not awful. I failed my driving test twice. 3 times. See? Emma laughed wetly. You even know that. Beverly pulled her close, this girl who'd been small enough to carry, who'd had nightmares every night for 2 years, who'd asked 1,000 questions about her mother that Beverly had answered as honestly as she could. This girl who smelled like fancy shampoo and teenage drama and home. "I love you," Beverly whispered into Emma's hair. "All three of y'all. You know that, right?" "Yeah." Emma squeezed tighter. "We know." Dinner was quiet. Dylan made grilled cheese because nobody had the energy for anything else. They ate in the kitchen instead of the dining room, paper plates instead of china, no formality. Grace sat in Beverly's lap even though she was really too big for it. Emma scrolled her phone, watching the internet explode. "We're trending on Twitter," she announced. #Bennett wedding. "Oh God, someone got video." "Don't read it," Beverly said. "Too late. Billionaire dumps bride at altar for Nanny. Charleston's biggest scandal in decades." "Oh, this one's good. Those kids are heroes." Emma. "There's a poll about whether Dad made the right choice. 73% say yes." Beverly's stomach churned. Carter hadn't called. Marcus was still upstairs on the phone. She'd heard him through the ceiling, his voice tight with damage control. "Miss Beverly?" Grace mumbled against her shoulder. "Will Daddy be mad at us?" "No, baby." "But we ruined his wedding. You told the truth. Your daddy's not gonna be mad about that." Liar. She had no idea what Carter was feeling. She'd seen him angry exactly 3 times in 10 years, when Emma got caught shoplifting on a dare, when Dylan punched a kid who said something about their dead mom, when a business partner tried to cheat him. His anger was cold and precise, like a surgeon's knife. She'd never seen him look the way he looked in the church garden. Desperate. Raw. Lost. The front door opened. Beverly's whole body tensed. Grace lifted her head. Dylan stopped mid-bite. Emma's phone clattered to the counter. Carter's footsteps in the hall. Slow. Exhausted. He appeared in the kitchen doorway, still in his tux pants and white shirt, tie gone, top buttons open. He looked like he'd aged 10 years. His eyes found Beverly immediately. "Kids. Upstairs." "Dad." Emma started. "Now. Please." His voice was soft but firm. "I need to talk to Bev. Alone." They went. Grace gave Beverly one last squeeze. Dylan squeezed her shoulder as he passed. Emma paused in the doorway, looked between them, then disappeared. Silence. Kitchen lights humming. Charleston evening settling outside, cicadas starting their song. Carter moved to the table, pulled out a chair, and sat heavily. He put his head in his hands. Beverly stayed frozen by the sink. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This was it. The moment he'd tell her it was inappropriate, that she'd crossed a line, that she needed to leave. That the kid's outburst was emotional but she should have stopped them. That he'd write her a good reference and... "The wedding cost $300,000, he said to his hands. Beverly's breath stopped. The venue, the flowers, the dress, the band. $300,000. Non-refundable. He laughed, bitter. "And I don't care. I don't care about any of it. Because my daughter stood up in that church and said what I should have realized months ago." He lifted his head. His eyes were red-rimmed. "I was trying to do the right thing. Give the kids a mother. Give them stability." Vanessa seemed perfect on paper. Successful, polished, interested in the family. But she wasn't you. Beverly gripped the sink edge. "Mr. Bennett. Stop calling me that." He stood, and she realized he was shaking. "Please, Bev. I can't. I need you to just be honest with me. For once. No professional distance. No employee-employer. Just us." "There is no us," she whispered. "Isn't there?" He took a step closer. "Tell me the truth. When I told you I was engaged, what did you feel?" She couldn't breathe. "I was happy for you." Liar. The word hit like a slap. Beverly's composure cracked. "What do you want me to say?" "The truth." "You can't handle my truth." The words burst out before she could stop them. "You want me to stand here and tell you that I've spent 10 years watching you date women who don't see your kids? That I smiled and nodded when you brought Vanessa home, when she talked about changing Grace's room, when she looked at me like I was furniture, that I wrote my resignation letter 3 times because I couldn't watch you marry her, her voice broke, that I can't do this anymore. The silence was deafening. Carter's face had gone pale. You were going to leave. Yes. When? After the wedding. I already packed. He moved fast, crossing the kitchen in 3 strides. No. Mr. Bennett. Carter. His voice was rough. My name is Carter. And you're not leaving. You can't leave. I have to. Her eyes burned. Don't you see? What happened today, it made everything impossible. I can't stay here now. Everyone's gonna talk. Your mother, your friends, all of Charleston. They're gonna say She couldn't finish. Say you're what? His voice dropped. That you're the woman who raised my children? Who kept my house running? Who was there for every single moment that mattered? They're gonna say I'm the help who got ideas above her station. The old phrase tasted bitter. That I broke up your wedding because I wanted. She stopped. Wanted what? He was so close now. Too close. She could see the silver threading through his brown hair, the lines around his eyes from 10 years of stress and grief and building an empire. Say it, Bev. She couldn't. If she said it out loud, she'd never be able to take it back. But Carter's hand came up, gentle, and touched her cheek. The same gesture he'd made in the church, in front of 200 people. His thumb brushed away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. I was an idiot, he said quietly. For 10 years I was an idiot. You were right here, and I was so busy trying to be a good father, a good CEO, trying to hold everything together, that I didn't see what was right in front of me. Carter. You made pancakes every Sunday. With chocolate chip smiley faces for Grace. You knew Emma likes her coffee with 2 sugars and oat milk. You knew Dylan needs his light on at night. You knew I drink my coffee black and I can't function before 6 a.m. and I have that scar on my shoulder from the car accident that killed. His voice cracked. Sarah. His wife. Dead 10 years now. Beverly had never known her, but she'd lived in her shadow, slept in a house full of her pictures, raised her children, loved her husband. No. She couldn't think that. Couldn't let herself. You knew all of it, Carter continued. And I took it for granted. I thought you'd always be here. That this was just your job. But it's not, is it? It never was. Beverly's chest ached. I don't know what you want me to say. Tell me the truth. What you really feel. Not what you think you should say. Not what's professional. Just, what do you want, Bev? What did she want? She wanted to wake up and have this be a normal Sunday. Wanted to make pancakes and read the paper and pretend her heart wasn't breaking. Wanted to go back to invisible, where it was safe. But Carter's hand was still on her face, and he was looking at her like she was the only thing in the room, and 10 years of wanting crashed over her all at once. Her voice shook. I want to not feel like this. I want to go back to when it was simple. When I was just the nanny and you were just the dad and we had rules and boundaries and I knew my place. Your place. He said it softly. Where is your place, Bev? Back of the church. Navy dress. Invisible. No. His voice was fierce. Your place is front row. Your place is at the dinner table with us. Your place is in every photo, every moment, every part of this family. Because you're not the nanny. You haven't been for years. You're. The front door slammed open. Carter Alexander Bennett. Margaret's voice could shatter crystal. I have had enough. Carter's hand dropped. Beverly stepped back fast, putting distance between them, smoothing her dress with shaking hands. Margaret appeared in the kitchen doorway, still in her mother-of-the-groom dress, face tight with fury. Behind her, Marcus looked apologetic. I tried to stop her, Marcus said. We need to talk, Margaret announced. Now. Privately. Her eyes flicked to Beverly. Cold. Dismissive. Ms. Washington, you may go. Beverly moved toward the door automatically. 10 years of yes ma'am and of course and knowing when she wasn't wanted. She stays. Carter's voice was steel. Margaret's eyebrows rose. "Excuse me. I said she stays. This concerns her. This concerns the Bennett family reputation, which you've just destroyed in front of half of Charleston. That woman is an employee." "Don't." Carter's voice went dangerous. "Don't call her that woman. Her name is Beverly. She's been part of this family for 10 years. And she's not going anywhere." Margaret's face flushed. "You cannot be serious. After today's disaster, after that humiliating display, you're, what? Defending the help." Beverly flinched. Marcus winced. Carter went very still. "Get out," Carter said quietly. "I beg your pardon. I said get out of my house. Right now." "Carter," Marcus tried. But Margaret was already talking over him, voice rising. "You've lost your mind. That's what this is. You're having some kind of breakdown. That woman has obviously manipulated." "Out." Carter's voice rang through the kitchen. "I want you out of my house. Now." Margaret's mouth opened and closed. Beverly had never seen her speechless. "You're choosing her." Margaret's voice dripped venom. "Over your family. Over your reputation. Over everything your father built. For the nanny." "I'm choosing the woman who raised my children," Carter said. "The woman who held us together when I was falling apart. The woman who knows us better than anyone. Yes. I'm choosing her. Every single time." Margaret turned on her heel and stalked out. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. Silence crashed down. Marcus cleared his throat. "Well, that went great." Carter sagged against the counter. Beverly's hands trembled. This was real. This was happening. Margaret Bennett, the Margaret Bennett who ran Charleston society, who could destroy reputations with a phone call, had just been thrown out. Because of her. "I should go," Beverly whispered. "No." Carter didn't look up. "That's exactly what she wants. You running. You leaving. Proving her right. Mr. Bennett." "Carter." He lifted his head, and his eyes held something fierce. "Stay. Please. At least for tonight. Let me figure this out." Marcus looked between them. "I'm gonna check on the kids. Bev, they're gonna want you." He left. Beverly and Carter stood alone in the kitchen, the weight of the day pressing down, everything changed and nothing resolved. "I'm sorry," Carter said finally. "For my mother. For today. For 10 years of being blind." Beverly's throat was tight. "You weren't blind. You were grieving. And trying to be a good father. And building a company. You were surviving. So were you." He met her eyes. "And I never once asked you what it cost you. To stay. To raise someone else's kids. To live in this house and be invisible. I wasn't invisible to the kids." "No. You weren't. They saw you. They loved you. They love you." He paused. "They're not the only ones." The air left Beverly's lungs. Carter pushed off the counter. "I know this is complicated. I know today was a disaster. I know my mother's probably on the phone right now with everyone she knows. But I need you to know what Emma said in that church. She was right. All of it. And I've been too scared to admit it. Too scared to risk what we have. But I can't pretend anymore." Carter. His name felt strange on her tongue. Too familiar. Too real. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I don't know what happens next. But I know I don't want you to leave. I know I'm tired of pretending you're just the nanny. And I know." He stopped. Swallowed hard. "I know that when I stood at that altar today, I wasn't thinking about Vanessa. I was thinking about you. About how wrong it felt. About how I've been running from this for 10 years because I didn't think I deserved." Footsteps thundered down the stairs. Grace burst into the kitchen, tears streaming. "Daddy." Grandmother Margaret called. "She said Bev has to leave. She said you're making a mistake and you have to fire her and—" Carter swept Grace into his arms. "Sure. Hey. It's okay. Nobody's firing anybody. But she said. I don't care what she said. He looked at Beverly over Grace's head. Bev's not going anywhere. I promise. Promise, promise. Grace's voice was muffled against his shoulder. Promise, promise. Beverly watched them, this man and this little girl, this family she'd built from broken pieces, and felt something crack open in her chest. 10 years of careful distance. 10 years of professional boundaries. 10 years of telling herself she was just the help. But she wasn't. She'd never been. And now everyone knew it. The story hit the Charleston Post and Courier on Monday morning. Beverly saw it on her phone at 5:47 a.m., sitting in her small room off the kitchen, coffee cooling in her hands. Bennett wedding called off. Billionaire CEO leaves bride at altar. The article was careful, professional. It mentioned family concerns and unforeseen circumstances. But the comments section was vicious. Gold Digger finally got what she wanted. That nanny knew exactly what she was doing. Feel bad for the bride. Humiliated in front of everyone. Beverly set her phone down with shaking hands. She'd known this was coming. Had prepared herself for it. But reading the words, seeing strangers dissect her life, her intentions, her relationship with the Bennetts, it made her stomach turn. A soft knock on her door. Bev. Carter's voice. You awake? She opened the door. He stood in the hallway in running clothes, hair damp from a shower. He'd been up early too then. Probably couldn't sleep either. Saw the article, he said. Yeah. My PR team's handling it. Releasing a statement this morning about. He stopped. Ran a hand through his hair. I don't actually know what to say. Sorry, I realized I was marrying the wrong person. My kids were right. I've been an idiot for 10 years. Despite everything. Beverly almost smiled. That last one's pretty honest. Too honest for PR. He leaned against the doorframe, and she was suddenly aware of how small her room was. How close he was. How this, him in her doorway at dawn, was crossing every line they'd carefully maintained for 10 years. Carter, we need to talk about what happens now. I know. Your mother called Grace last night. She's telling everyone I manipulated you, that I... Beverly's voice caught. I can't stay here if it's gonna hurt the kids. If people are gonna look at them and think. Let them think whatever they want. His voice was firm. The kids are fine. More than fine. They're relieved. For now. But what about when they go to school tomorrow? When everyone's talking? When their friends' parents are saying things? Carter's jaw tightened. Then their friends' parents can mind their own business. You know it doesn't work like that. Not in Charleston. Not with... She gestured vaguely. All of this. Your family, your company, society. There are rules. Rules I'm tired of following. He met her eyes. I've spent 10 years doing what everyone expected. Being the good widower. The devoted father. The successful CEO. Building the company, raising the kids, never making waves. And where did it get me? Almost married to someone who didn't even know my daughter's favorite color. Purple, Beverly said automatically. See? His voice went soft. You know. You've always known. Every detail. Every moment. You've been paying attention while I was busy trying to do everything right. Footsteps on the stairs. Emma appeared, already dressed for school, phone in hand. She stopped when she saw them. Carter in Beverly's doorway, the strange intimacy of early morning. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. It's fine, Beverly said quickly, stepping back. Professional distance. Even now, she couldn't quite break the habit. Emma's eyes flicked between them. So, we're trending on Instagram now too. Someone made a TikTok about the wedding. It has like 2 million views. Carter closed his eyes. Of course it does. Most people think what we did was romantic. Emma scrolled her phone. There's literally fan art. Someone drew Bev as a Disney princess. It's actually kind of good. Emma. Beverly's face burned. What? It's true. You're like the internet's favorite person right now. Real-life Cinderella story. Except you're the one who's been here all along and Dad finally noticed. That's not. Beverly stopped. Because wasn't it? 10 years of being invisible. And now suddenly everyone was looking. School's gonna be weird today, Emma continued. But Dylan and I talked to Grace last night. We're ready. Anyone says anything about you, they're dealing with all three of us. Baby, you don't have to defend me. Yes, we do. Emma's voice was fierce. You've been defending us for 10 years. Taking care of us. Showing up. You think we're gonna let people trash you now? No way. She hugged Beverly quickly, then headed to the kitchen. Beverly heard the coffee maker start, heard Dylan's feet hit the floor upstairs, heard Grace singing something off-key in her room. Normal morning sounds. Except nothing was normal anymore. Carter was still watching her. The kids are stronger than you think. I know how strong they are. I raised them. Exactly. His voice dropped. You raised them. Not Vanessa. Not my mother. Not a series of nannies. You. And they know it. That's why Emma stood up in that church. That's why they're ready to fight for you. Because you fought for them first. Beverly's throat went tight. I didn't do it so they'd owe me something. I know. That's why it matters. He pushed off the doorframe. I have a board meeting at 9. Gonna be hell. But tonight, after the kids are asleep, we need to really talk. About what this is. What happens next. Because I can't keep having these conversations in hallways. Carter. Tonight, he repeated. Please. Just give me that. He left before she could answer. Beverly stood in her doorway, watching Charleston sunrise creep through the windows, and wondered what the hell she'd gotten herself into. The day crawled by. Beverly tried to stick to routine, laundry, grocery list, meal planning. But her phone kept buzzing. Text from her sister. Girl, you're on the news. Call me. Text from her best friend Keisha. Beverly Washington, what the hell is happening? 3 missed calls from her mother. She ignored them all. Couldn't explain what she didn't understand herself. At 3:30, she picked up Grace from elementary school. The carpool line was silent when Beverly pulled up, but she felt every eye on her. Mothers in expensive SUVs, whispering, pointing. Grace climbed in the back seat, face tight. Everyone was talking about us today. I know, baby. Mrs. Morrison, she's Chloe's mom, she asked if you were my real mom now. Grace's voice went small. I didn't know what to say. Beverly's hands gripped the steering wheel. What did you want to say? That you're the mom who's here. The mom who braids my hair and reads me stories and comes to my games. The mom who loves me. Grace paused. Is that okay? Even though I had another mom first. Beverly pulled over, parked under a magnolia tree, and turned around. Grace's eyes were wet. Baby girl, you can love both of us. Your mama who was here first. She loved you so much. She picked your name. She decorated your room. She would have been so proud of who you're becoming. Beverly's voice shook. And I love you too. I love all 3 of y'all. That doesn't replace her. It's just different. But you're gonna stay now, right? You're not leaving. I don't know what's happening, Grace. It's complicated. Why? Grace wiped her nose. You love us. We love you. Daddy loves you. Why is that complicated? From the mouths of 8-year-olds. Beverly didn't have an answer. Emma and Dylan were quieter when Beverly picked them up. Emma's jaw was tight. Dylan had that look. The one that meant someone said something and he wanted to punch them. Who was it? Beverly asked as they drove home. Nobody, Dylan muttered. Dylan. Some guys on the team. Saying stuff about you and Dad. About how you've been living here. Like we're stupid and didn't notice you were. He stopped. We're what? Part of the family. More than just the nanny. Like we didn't see it. Dylan's voice was angry. Everyone acts like today came out of nowhere. But we've known for years. We just didn't say it out loud. Beverly's chest ached. She'd thought she was being careful. Thought she was maintaining boundaries. But kids saw everything. They always had. What did you tell them? She asked quietly. Told them to shut up or I'd make them. Dylan crossed his arms. Coach made me run laps. Dylan. I don't care. Nobody talks about you like that. Emma reached over and squeezed her brother's shoulder. We handled it, she told Beverly. It's gonna be weird for a while. But we can deal with weird. Carter came home at 7, face drawn. The board meeting had clearly been rough. Beverly had dinner ready. Pork chops, mac and cheese, collard greens, cornbread. Comfort food. They needed it. Dinner was subdued. The kids filled Carter in on their day, carefully editing out the worst parts. Beverly could tell he knew they were leaving things out, but he didn't push. Just listened, asked questions, tried to pretend everything was normal. After dinner, Emma took Grace upstairs for homework. Dylan disappeared to his room. Beverly started clearing plates. Leave them, Carter said. I'll get them later. I always clean up after dinner. I know. But maybe tonight you could just... He stopped. Rubbed his face. The board meeting was brutal. Half of them think I've lost my mind. The other half think it's a publicity stunt. My mother's threatening to sell her shares. And I spent 3 hours explaining that my personal life is personal and has nothing to do with the company's quarterly projections. Beverly set down the plates. I'm sorry. Don't be. I did this. I made this mess. He looked at her. But I'd do it again. Because the alternative was marrying Vanessa and pretending for the rest of my life. And I'm done pretending. The kitchen suddenly felt too small. Too intimate. Beverly moved to the sink, needing distance, needing to do something with her hands. Bev. Carter's voice behind her. Close. Look at me. She turned. He was right there, close enough that she could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the shadow of stubble on his jaw, the way his shirt was wrinkled from a long day. I need to ask you something, he said. And I need you to be honest. Okay. If none of this had happened, if Emma hadn't stood up in that church, if I'd married Vanessa, would you have left? Beverly's breath caught. Yes. Why? Because I couldn't watch it. Couldn't watch her move into this house and change everything and act like she knew y'all. Couldn't watch you with someone else and pretend I was fine with it. The words came faster now. 10 years of silence breaking open. I would have packed my bag and gotten on that bus and tried to forget. Tried to tell myself it was just a job. That I'd done what I was hired for and now it was time to move on. Would it have worked? No. Her voice broke. I tried to quit in my head 100 times. Tried to imagine leaving. But every time I thought about it, I'd remember Grace's laugh or Dylan's nightmares or Emma stress baking at midnight. I'd remember Sunday pancakes and movie nights and all the little moments that made this feel like home, Carter finished softly. I was the nanny. It wasn't supposed to feel like home. But it did. Yes. The admission felt like jumping off a cliff. It did. And I knew that made me foolish. Knew I was setting myself up to get hurt. Because you don't fall for your employer. You don't love kids that aren't yours. You don't let yourself want things you can't have. What if you can have them? Beverly's heart hammered. What are you saying? Carter stepped closer. His hand came up gentle the way it had in the church garden. I'm saying I've been trying to replace you for 6 months. Trying to find someone to fill this space I thought needed filling. But it wasn't empty. You were already here. You've been here all along. And I was too scared to admit that what I was looking for was right in front of me. Carter, this is too fast. 2 days ago you were getting married. To the wrong person. Because I was doing what I thought I should do instead of what I wanted to do. His thumb brushed her cheek. I'm tired of should. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of ignoring what's been here for years because it's complicated or inappropriate or whatever other excuse I've been using. Your mother. We'll get over it or she won't. I don't care. The company is fine. My personal life doesn't affect quarterly earnings. The kids love you. You heard them. They've been waiting for this. Beverly's eyes stung. What about me? Did anyone ask what I want? Carter went still. His hand dropped. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm pushing too hard. He took a breath. What do you want, Bev? What did she want? She wanted to stop being scared. Wanted to stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. Wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could have this. Could be part of this family, not as the help, not as the nanny, but as something more. But wanting and having were different things. I want to not wake up 6 months from now and realize this was a mistake, she said quietly. I want to not ruin what we have, what the kids and I have, by trying to make it something else. I want. Dylan's voice from upstairs. Bev, Grace is asking for you. The moment shattered. Beverly stepped back, putting distance between them. I should go. We're not done talking about this. I know. She headed for the stairs, then stopped. Looked back. Carter stood in the kitchen, alone, looking lost. For what it's worth, she said softly. I want this too. I'm just terrified. She left him there and went to read Grace a bedtime story, to braid her hair, to tuck her in. Normal things. Safe things. But downstairs, her phone buzzed with a text from Keisha. Charleston Country Club lunch tomorrow. Someone told me Margaret Bennett's holding court. Says you're a homewrecker. You need backup? Beverly stared at the message. This was just the beginning. Margaret wasn't going to let this go quietly. And Beverly knew how Charleston society worked. Whispers became rumors, became truth. She'd been on the receiving end before, growing up on the wrong side of town, watching the old family's close ranks. But this time she wasn't alone. This time she had 3 kids who'd stood up in a church for her. This time she had Carter saying he'd choose her. Every single time. Beverly typed back, "What time's lunch?" Keisha's response was immediate. "That's my girl. Noon. Wear something that says, I belong here." Beverly looked down at her worn jeans and oversized cardigan. She didn't own anything that said she belonged at Charleston Country Club. But maybe it was time to start. Charleston Country Club sat on the Ashley River like a monument to old money and older grudges. Beverly had driven past it 1,000 times but never been inside. That wasn't for people like her. But she walked through the front doors at 11:55 a.m. on Tuesday anyway, wearing the only dress she owned that wasn't for church or cleaning. A simple navy sheath that Keisha had insisted looked dignified as hell. Keisha was waiting in the lobby, stunning in coral linen. There she is. The woman of the hour. Don't. Beverly's stomach churned. Where is she? Sunroom. 3rd table from the windows. Holding court with every society matron in Charleston. Keisha linked arms with Beverly. Ready? No. Perfect. Let's go. The sunroom was all white wicker and pale flowers, filled with women in pastels drinking iced tea. The conversation died the moment Beverly walked in. Margaret Bennett sat at the center table, queen on her throne. She saw Beverly and her lips pressed into a thin line. Bev, Keisha whispered. We can leave. No. Beverly straightened her spine. Her grandmother's voice in her head. Asterisk, hold your head up, baby. Don't give them the satisfaction. Asterisk. They found a table near the window. Beverly ordered sweet tea with shaking hands. Every eye in the room was on her. The whispers started immediately. Never thought she'd have the nerve. After what she did to that poor bride. Living in that house for 10 years, playing the long game. Beverly's hands fisted in her lap. Keisha reached over and squeezed her wrist. Breathe. We're just here for lunch. Ignore them. But Margaret wasn't ignoring her. Margaret stood, smoothed her cream suit, and walked directly to their table. Ms. Washington. Her voice could cut glass. How surprising to see you here. I didn't realize you were a member. I'm not, Beverly said evenly. I'm Keisha's guest. Ah, how lovely. Margaret's smile didn't reach her eyes. I suppose you'll be joining quite a few places now. Now that you've, what's the phrase, moved up in the world. Keisha's hand tightened on Beverly's wrist. Warning. But Beverly kept her voice steady. I'm here for lunch, Mrs. Bennett. That's all. Of course. Just lunch. Margaret's gaze swept over Beverly's dress, her simple jewelry, her natural hair pulled back in a bun. Though I imagine things have changed quite a bit for you lately. Living in my son's house. Raising my grandchildren. Tell me, Ms. Washington, at what point did you decide to become more than just the help? The room went silent. Every woman was listening now, leaning in. Beverly's throat went tight, but she made herself meet Margaret's eyes. I never decided anything, ma'am. I did my job. I took care of those children. That's all. Is it? Margaret's voice was soft. Dangerous. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks rather calculated. 10 years of ingratiating yourself into the family. Making yourself indispensable. Waiting for the right moment to. To what? Beverly's voice came out stronger than she felt. To watch your son almost marry someone who doesn't know his children? To pack my bags and plan to leave? Because that's what I was doing, Mrs. Bennett. I was leaving. Your grandchildren stopped it, not me. My grandchildren are confused. They've been through trauma. They don't understand. They understand perfectly. Beverly stood now, legs trembling but voice steady. They understand that I've been there every single day for 10 years. Every fever, every nightmare, every scraped knee. Every moment that mattered. They understand that I love them. And they love me. And that scares you. Margaret's face flushed. How dare you? How dare I what? Tell the truth? You called Grace last night and made her cry. You told her I was leaving, that I had to be fired. You scared an 8-year-old child to get back at me. I was protecting her from false hope. From believing that someone like you could. Margaret stopped herself, but the damage was done. Someone like me. Beverly repeated it softly. You mean someone black? Someone poor? Someone who grew up on the East Side and had to work for everything she has? Is that what you mean? The room was dead silent now. Margaret's mouth opened and closed. I think we're done here, Beverly said quietly. She looked around the sunroom, at all the pale faces watching, judging. Y'all wanted to see me? Here I am. Beverly Washington. The nanny. The help. The woman who raised Carter Bennett's children while he built an empire. The woman who loved those kids when they were broken. The woman who stayed. She picked up her purse. Her hands were shaking, but her voice didn't waver. And yeah, his kids stood up in a church and said they wanted me to stay. And yeah, that made everything complicated. But I didn't plan it. I didn't scheme. I just showed up. Every single day for 10 years. So if that makes me a gold digger or a homewrecker or whatever else y'all are saying behind my back, fine. Think what you want. But those kids know the truth. And that's all that matters to me. She walked out. Keisha grabbed her purse and followed. Behind them, the sunroom erupted in chatter. Beverly made it to Keisha's car before she started shaking. Oh God. I can't believe You were magnificent. Keisha started the engine. Did you see Margaret's face? I thought she was gonna have a stroke. I shouldn't have said all that. I should have stayed quiet. Now it's gonna be worse. Bev. You stood up for yourself. Finally. After 10 years of being invisible, you let them see you. And yeah, Margaret's gonna be pissed. But you know what? Screw her. You didn't do anything wrong. Beverly's phone buzzed. A text from Carter. Asterisk, my mother just called. Sounds like lunch was interesting. You okay? Asterisk. Before she could answer, another text. Also, I'm proud of you. Beverly stared at the message. When was the last time someone said they were proud of her? Not for taking care of the kids, not for doing her job. Just proud. What did he say? Keisha asked. That he's proud of me. Good. He should be. You basically just declared war on Charleston society for him. I didn't do it for him. I did it for the kids. Keisha's voice was knowing. Keep telling yourself that. Beverly got home at 2 to find the house in chaos. Emma was in the kitchen stress baking. 3 dozen cookies already cooling on racks. Dylan was shooting hoops in the driveway with violent intensity. Grace sat on the front porch, face blotchy from crying. Baby, what's wrong? Beverly climbed the porch steps. Miss Peterson called. Miss Peterson was Grace's teacher. She said some parents complained. Said they don't want you picking me up anymore. Said you're... Grace's voice broke. A bad influence. Beverly's vision went red. She said what? That some parents think you're... I don't know all the words. But they were mean. And Miss Peterson said she doesn't agree, but she had to tell Daddy. And Daddy got really mad and left work, and now Emma's baking and Dylan's gonna break the basketball hoop and... Grace dissolved into sobs. Beverly pulled her close, fury building in her chest. This was what Margaret wanted. To make Beverly toxic. To make it impossible for her to stay. Carter's car pulled up fast, tires screeching slightly. He got out, phone to his ear, face thunderous. I don't care if they're uncomfortable, he was saying. Beverly Washington has been picking up my daughter for 2 years. She's on the approved list. She has every right. No, you listen to me. If any parent has a problem with who I designate to pick up my child, they can take it up with me directly. Not with my daughter's teacher. Not with an 8-year-old. With me. He hung up. Saw Beverly and Grace on the porch. His expression softened slightly. Grace, baby, go inside. I need to talk to Bev. Grace hesitated, then went in. Beverly stood slowly, arms crossed against the anger and hurt roiling in her chest. I handled it, Carter said immediately. Called the principal. Called the district superintendent. No one's keeping you from picking up Grace. This is what I was afraid of. Beverly's voice shook. It's not just your mother. It's gonna be everyone. Parents at school. People at the country club. Everywhere we go. And the kids are gonna pay the price. The kids are fine. Grace is not fine. She's crying because grown adults told her teacher that I'm a bad influence. Dylan's out here trying to break your basketball hoop. Emma's stress baking. This is not fine, Carter. So what do you want me to do? His voice rose to match hers. Want me to apologize for choosing you? Want me to pretend Sunday didn't happen? Want me to, what? Send you away to make everyone comfortable? I don't know. Beverly's composure cracked. I don't know what I want. I just know this is too hard. It's too much. Those kids don't deserve this. Those kids don't deserve to lose you. They're not losing me. I'm not going anywhere. Aren't you? Carter stepped closer. Because it sounds like you're looking for an exit. I'm trying to protect them. By running away. By proving everyone right. That you don't belong here. That you're just the help who got ideas above her station. The words hit like a slap. Beverly's eyes stung. That's not fair. No. Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, you're doing exactly what my mother wants. You're making yourself small again. Making yourself invisible. Taking the heat so no one else has to. Someone has to. The words burst out. Someone has to be the adult here. Someone has to think about what this costs. What about what it costs to lose you? His voice went rough. What about what it cost Emma to watch me almost marry someone who didn't see her? What about what it cost Dylan to watch you pack your bags and plan to leave? What about Grace, who's 8 years old and already knows what it feels like to lose a mother? You want her to lose you too. That's not fair. None of this is fair. Carter's hands flexed like he wanted to reach for her but didn't. It's not fair that Sarah died. It's not fair that my kids grew up without their mother. It's not fair that you spent 10 years raising them and got called the help. It's not fair that my mother's a bigot and half of Charleston is judging us. But we don't get fair, Bev. We get what we fight for. And I'm tired of not fighting. What are you fighting for? Beverly's voice broke. What do you actually want from me? Everything. The word hung between them. I want Sunday pancakes to not feel like you're just doing your job. I want to stop pretending I don't notice when you're in the room. I want the kids to call you Mom without feeling guilty. I want to introduce you as... He stopped, took a breath. I want you. Not as the nanny. Not as the employee. As Beverly. As the woman who kept us alive. As the woman I should have seen years ago. Beverly's chest ached. I can't be what you need me to be. Why not? Because I don't know how. The admission tore out of her. I don't know how to be anything but invisible. I don't know how to walk into a room and take up space. I don't know how to be the woman Carter Bennett chooses in front of everyone. I'm Beverly from the East Side who cleans houses and braids hair and knows her place. And my place was never supposed to be here. Carter closed the distance between them. Your place was never supposed to be with us? Never supposed to be in my house at my table? With my kids calling you Mom? Never supposed to be the first person I think about in the morning and the last person I want to see at night? Beverly couldn't breathe. Don't say things like that. Why not? It's true. It's been true for longer than I want to admit. I was just too scared to say it. Scared of what? Of this. Of ruining what we had. Of crossing a line I couldn't uncross. Of loving someone again and, his voice cracked, of losing someone again. The admission hung in the air. Beverly's hands trembled. Carter. I lost Sarah. It almost killed me. Took me years to even function. And the whole time you were there. Steady. Constant. Safe. And I told myself I couldn't risk it. Couldn't risk changing what we had. Couldn't risk loving you and losing you. So what changed? Emma stood up in that church and said what I'd been too afraid to say. That you're the one who's been here. That you're the one who matters. And I realized, I've already been loving you. 4 years. I just wasn't admitting it. Beverly's vision blurred. This is too fast. 2 days ago. 2 days ago I was about to make the biggest mistake of my life. And my daughter saved me from it. He reached out careful and wiped a tear from Beverly's cheek. I know this is scary. I know it's complicated. I know Charleston's gonna talk and my mother's gonna fight and it's gonna be hard. But I don't care. Because losing you would be harder. You're not gonna lose me. Then stop running. His voice was fierce. Stop looking for exits. Stop making yourself small. Stop acting like you don't belong here when you're the only reason any of us made it through the past 10 years. Beverly's throat was tight. I don't know how to do this. Neither do I. But maybe we figure it out together. The front door opened. Emma stood there, flour on her hands, eyes red. Are you two done yelling? Because Grace is freaking out and I've made 17 dozen cookies and I don't know what to do anymore. Carter and Beverly stepped apart. Beverly wiped her eyes quickly. We're done, Carter said. Sorry, Em. Are you? Emma looked between them. Are we okay? Is Bev staying? I'm not going anywhere, Beverly said softly. But even as she said it, doubt curled in her stomach. Because staying meant fighting. And Beverly had spent 38 years learning to survive, not to fight. But maybe it was time to learn. That evening, after dinner and homework and the kids were finally in bed, Beverly found Carter in his study. He looked up from his laptop surprised. Hey. Hey. She closed the door behind her. We need to finish that conversation. He stood. Okay. I'm scared, she said simply. I'm scared that this, whatever this is gonna blow up. That your mother's right and I don't belong in your world. That 6 months from now you're gonna realize this was a mistake. That the kids are gonna get hurt. That I'm gonna wake up and this was all just. It's not. Carter crossed to her. This isn't a mistake. This isn't temporary. This is real. How do you know? Because I've never felt more sure of anything in my life. His hands framed her face, gentle. Beverly Washington. The woman who makes pancakes with smiley faces. Who reads Harry Potter with different voices. Who knows exactly how everyone takes their coffee. Who stayed when no one would have blamed her for leaving. Who stood up in a country club today and told my mother the truth. You are the bravest person I know. And I'm done pretending you're anything less than extraordinary. Beverly's breath caught. I'm not. You are. His thumb brushed her cheek. And I'm gonna spend however long it takes convincing you of that. He kissed her. Soft and careful, like he was afraid she'd disappear. And Beverly. Beverly, who'd been invisible, who'd been careful, who'd been safe for 38 years, kissed him back. For 10 years, she'd been Beverly the nanny. Beverly the help. Beverly who knew her place. But in Carter Bennett's arms, with his children asleep upstairs in a house that felt like home, Beverly finally let herself believe that maybe, her place was right here. Even if Charleston society disagreed. Even if it was terrifying. Even if she still didn't know how this ended. She kissed him and let herself want something just for her. And it felt like flying. Beverly woke up at 2:47 a.m. to her phone buzzing. Text from her sister Nicole. * You're on TMZ. Call me. *. Her stomach dropped. She fumbled for her phone, fingers shaking as she pulled up the website. Billionaire CEO Carter Bennett caught kissing former nanny. The photo was grainy but clear, taken through Carter's study window last night. His hands on her face. Her body leaning into his. The kiss that had felt like flying now felt like falling. The article was brutal. Bennett, 45, was photographed in an intimate moment with Beverly Washington, 38, the nanny who has lived in his Charleston mansion for 10 years. Sources say Washington strategically positioned herself in the household after Bennett's wife died, waiting for the right moment to make her move. The scandal comes just days after Bennett left his fiancée at the altar, with his 3 children publicly declaring their preference for Washington over their father's bride. It's a calculated seduction, says Dr. Linda Morrison, a family psychologist not involved in the case. Live-in caregivers sometimes develop inappropriate attachments to their employers, especially vulnerable widowers. The children become pawns in *. Beverly stopped reading. She was going to be sick. More texts flooded in. Mom, baby, what's happening? People are calling me. Keisha. Don't read the comments. I repeat, do not read the comments. Unknown number. Gold-digging whore. Another unknown. You should be ashamed. Those poor children. Another. Wants the help, always the help. You'll never be good enough. Beverly's hands shook so hard she almost dropped her phone. Through the thin wall she could hear Charleston waking up. Birds starting their morning songs, delivery trucks rumbling past, the city stirring. In a few hours, the kids would wake up. They'd see this. Their friends would see this. Everyone would see this. Strategic seduction. Calculated. Inappropriate attachment. Gold digger. She'd known this would happen. Had tried to warn Carter. But seeing it in black and white, seeing strangers dissect her life, her motivations, her love for those children, it made her stomach turn. A soft knock. Bev. Carter's voice. You awake? She didn't answer. Couldn't. The door opened. Carter stood there in rumpled pajama pants and a t-shirt, phone in hand, face grim. You saw? Yeah. My PR team's working on it. We'll release a statement. Saying what? Beverly's voice came out hollow. That it's not true. That I didn't strategically position myself? Because that's what it looks like, Carter. 10 years in your house. Raising your kids. Watching you date other women. Waiting. That's what they're saying and I can't. Her voice broke. I can't prove them wrong. You don't have to prove anything. Yes, I do. Don't you see? To everyone in Charleston, I'm exactly what they're saying. The help who got ideas. The black woman who came into a white man's house and took advantage. The gold digger who... Stop. Carter crossed the small room in 2 strides. Don't do that. Don't let them make you into something you're not. How do you know what I am? The question tore out of her. How do you know I didn't, at least a little bit, want this? Want you? Want this life? How do you know I'm not exactly what they're saying? Carter's jaw tightened. Because I know you. I've watched you for 10 years. I've seen you turn down raises because you thought I was paying you too much. I've seen you refuse gifts because you said it wasn't appropriate. I've seen you pack your bags to leave rather than complicate things. You're not a gold digger, Bev. You're the most honest person I know. Honest? Beverly laughed bitterly. I kissed my employer last night. I've been in love with you for years and didn't say anything. I let your children think of me as their mother while taking a paycheck. That's not honest. That's human. His voice went soft. That's human, Bev. You're allowed to have feelings. You're allowed to want things. Not things that belong to other people. You don't belong to anyone else. You belong, he stopped. I want you to belong here. With us. Not as the nanny. As what? Beverly stood, putting distance between them. As your girlfriend. Your partner. Your wife. What exactly am I supposed to be, Carter? Because I've been the nanny for 10 years, and I don't know how to be anything else. Then we figure it out. There's nothing to figure out. Her voice rose, loud enough that she heard Dylan stir in his room across the hall. She lowered her voice to a harsh whisper. This was a mistake. Last night was a mistake. All of this is a mistake. I should have left when I planned to. I should have. Should have what? Abandoned the kids you raised? Run away from everything we've built? Is that really what you want? I want to stop feeling like this. The words ripped out of her. I want to stop feeling like I'm not good enough. Like I'm some charity case you're trying to save. Like I'm the scandal everyone's talking about. I want to go back to invisible, where it was safe. You were never invisible to me. Yes, I was. For 10 years I was. I was the furniture. The help. The woman who kept your house running while you lived your life. And that was fine. That was what I signed up for. But this, she gestured between them. This changes everything. And I can't. I don't know how to be what you need. I need you to stop running. I'm not running. I'm being realistic. Your mother hates me. Half of Charleston thinks I'm a gold digger. Your kid's school is getting complaints. TMZ is writing hit pieces. This is only gonna get worse. And the kids. God, Carter, the kids are gonna pay the price for this. The kids are fine. They're not fine. Grace is crying herself to sleep. Dylan's getting in fights. Emma's stress baking. This is not fine. A door opened down the hall. Emma's voice, sleep rough. Can you two stop fighting? Some of us have school tomorrow. Beverly's face burned. Carter closed his eyes. Sorry, Em. Go back to bed. Are you leaving? Emma appeared in the doorway, backlit by the hall light. Because I heard you say this was a mistake. I heard you say you should have left. So are you. The question hung in the air. Beverly's throat closed. Em. Carter started. I'm asking Bev. Emma's voice was steady, but her eyes were scared. Are you leaving us? I don't know, Beverly whispered. The truth, harsh and painful. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Emma's face crumpled. She turned and went back to her room. Door closing with a soft click. Silence crashed down. I'll fix this, Carter said finally. I'll talk to her. You can't fix this. Beverly's voice was hollow. This is what I was afraid of. That they'd get attached. That they'd get hurt. That I'd become something I was never supposed to be, and then... She couldn't finish. Then what? Then I'd have to choose. between staying and watching them suffer because of me, or leaving and breaking their hearts. Either way, I lose. Carter's hands fisted at his sides. There's a third option. What? You stay. You fight. You stop letting fear make your decisions. Easy for you to say. You're Carter Bennett, billionaire CEO. You can survive a scandal. But me. Beverly's voice shook. I'm Beverly Washington from the East Side. I clean houses. I braid hair. I know my place. And my place was never supposed to be. Say it. His voice was fierce. Say what you really mean. My place was never supposed to be next to yours. The words exploded out. I was never supposed to fall in love with you. I was never supposed to want this life. I was never supposed to be good enough for. She stopped. But it was too late. The words were out. Carter stared at her. You think you're not good enough. I know I'm not. Beverly. Don't. She held up a hand. Don't tell me I am. Don't give me some speech about how I'm brave or extraordinary or whatever. Because I'm not. I'm scared. I'm terrified. And I don't know how to do this. Then let me help you. You can't help me with this. This is my fight. My fear. Her voice broke. I need to think. I need time. I need to figure out what I'm doing because right now, I don't know anything except that I'm making everything worse. Bev. Please. The word came out desperate. Please just give me space. Let me breathe. Let me figure out if I can actually do this or if I'm just fooling myself. Carter looked like she'd hit him. But he nodded slowly. Okay. If that's what you need. It is. He left. Beverly sank onto her narrow bed in her small room off the kitchen, the room she'd lived in for 10 years, and let herself crack open. Silent sobs that shook her whole body. Fear and shame and longing all tangled together. She'd spent 10 years being careful, being professional, knowing her place. And in 2 days, it had all fallen apart. Beverly didn't come out of her room for breakfast. Emma knocked twice, but Beverly pretended to be asleep. She heard the kids get ready for school, heard Carter's low voice talking to them, heard the front door close at 7:30. Then silence. She should get up. Should start laundry, plan dinner, keep the routine going. That's what she always did. But she couldn't make herself move. Her phone buzzed. Text from Keisha. Asterisk, I'm coming over. Don't argue. Asterisk. 30 minutes later, Keisha let herself in with the spare key Beverly had given her years ago. She appeared in Beverly's doorway with coffee and beignet from Callie's hot little biscuit. Get up. Keisha. I said get up. You're not wallowing in this room all day. Beverly sat up slowly. She must look terrible. Eyes swollen, hair a mess, still in yesterday's clothes. Keisha handed her coffee. Drink. Then tell me what happened. You saw TMZ. I saw. I also saw the Post and Courier, 3 blogs and about 50 Twitter threads. Charleston's having a field day. Keisha sat on the bed. But I don't care what Charleston thinks. I care what you think. I think I ruined everything. How? I kissed him. I let myself want something I shouldn't want. I let those kids get attached to me. I let myself believe I could actually have this. And now look, Emma's upset, the kids are getting harassed, Carter's dealing with PR nightmares, and I'm the villain in everyone's story. You're not the villain. Tell that to TMZ. Tell that to Margaret Bennett. Tell that to everyone calling me a gold digger and a homewrecker and... Her voice broke. Keisha set down her coffee and took Beverly's hands. Listen to me. I've known you since we were 12 years old. I watched you work 3 jobs to put yourself through community college. I watched you take care of your mama when she got sick. I watched you raise your nephew when Nicole couldn't. You have never, not once, taken something that wasn't yours. You have never used people. You have never been anything but honest and kind and too damn selfless for your own good. But nothing. You fell in love with a man you worked for. You loved his kids like they were your own. You stayed when you could have left. None of that makes you a villain. It makes you human. It makes me stupid. Beverly's voice was bitter. I knew better. I knew not to cross that line. I knew my place. Your place. Keisha's voice went hard. You know what I hate about that phrase? Your place. Like you're supposed to stay small. Stay quiet. Stay grateful for whatever scraps people give you. Like you're not allowed to want more. I'm not. Yes, you are. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to fall in love. You're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to fight for what you want instead of just accepting what you're given. Beverly's eyes stung. What if I fight and I lose? What if you don't fight and you lose anyway? Keisha squeezed her hands. Bev, you're already losing. You're sitting in this room, hiding, letting fear win. Is that really what you want? I don't know what I want. Yes, you do. You want those kids. You want that man. You want this life you've built. You're just too scared to admit it because admitting it means fighting for it. And you've spent your whole life not fighting. Just surviving. The words hit like a punch. Because Keisha was right. Beverly had spent 38 years surviving. Surviving poverty, surviving racism, surviving loss. She'd learned to make herself small, to take up less space, to not ask for too much. But surviving wasn't living. I don't know how to fight, Beverly whispered. Then it's time to learn. Keisha stood, pulling Beverly up with her. Because those kids need you. That man needs you. And you deserve better than hiding in a room because Charleston society doesn't approve. Keisha. No. I'm done watching you make yourself small. I'm done watching you act like you don't deserve good things. You raised those children. You held that family together. You earned your place in that house. So stop apologizing for it. Beverly's phone buzzed. Text from Emma. Asterisk Bev, please come out. Please talk to me. I'm sorry I got upset. I don't want you to leave. Asterisk. Another text, from Dylan. Asterisk you okay? Dad said to give you space but we're worried. Asterisk. Another, from Grace. Asterisk I love you. Please don't go. Asterisk. Beverly's vision blurred. These kids. These beautiful, broken, healing kids who she'd loved for 10 years. Who loved her back. Who needed her. What do I do? She asked Keisha. You stop running. You go out there. You talk to those kids. You figure out what you want. And then you fight for it. Keisha hugged her hard. You got this, Bev. You've always been stronger than you think. After Keisha left, Beverly showered. Put on real clothes. Looked at herself in the mirror. Really looked, not just a glance before rushing to the next task. She saw a woman who was tired. Scared. 38 years old and still trying to prove she was worthy of taking up space. But she also saw a woman who'd survived. Who'd built something beautiful from broken pieces. Who'd loved 3 children through their grief and helped them become extraordinary humans. Maybe Keisha was right. Maybe it was time to stop surviving and start fighting. Beverly picked up her phone and texted Carter. Asterisk we need to talk. Tonight. After the kids are asleep. Asterisk. His response was immediate. Okay. Then she texted the kids individually. To Emma. Asterisk I'm here. I'm not leaving. I'm sorry I scared you. Asterisk. To Dylan. Asterisk I'm okay. Thank you for checking. Asterisk. To Grace. Asterisk I love you too, baby girl. More than you know. Asterisk. 3 dots appeared immediately on Emma's message. Then. Can we talk when I get home from school? Beverly. Absolutely. She had 6 hours until the kids got home. 6 hours to figure out what she wanted. What she was willing to fight for. Beverly walked through the house. Not her room, not the kitchen, but the whole house. The living room where they watched movies on Friday nights. The dining room where they had Sunday dinners. The study where Carter had kissed her. Grace's room with butterfly wallpaper. Dylan's room with basketball posters. Emma's room cluttered with college applications and dreams. 10 years of memories in these walls. 10 years of love. She wasn't the nanny anymore. She hadn't been for a long time. She was family. And it was time to start acting like it. The kids got home at 3:45. Beverly was waiting in the kitchen with fresh-baked chocolate chip cookies. Emma's favorite when she was stressed, which meant it was Beverly's favorite to make when she was stressed. Grace ran in first, backpack bouncing, and threw herself at Beverly. "You're here." "I'm here, baby." Beverly held her tight. Dylan came in next, trying to look casual but his eyes searching Beverly's face for reassurance. "Hey. Hey yourself." Beverly pulled him into a hug too. He was taller than her now, all gangly teenage limbs, but he still melted into the embrace like he was 6 years old. Emma was last, moving slower, face guarded. "Can we talk?" "Just us." "Of course." Beverly looked at Dylan and Grace. "Y'all start homework. I'll be back in a few." She followed Emma up to her room. Emma closed the door and sank onto her bed, fingers twisting in her comforter. "I'm sorry about last night," Emma said quietly. "I shouldn't have, I was just scared. When I heard you fighting with Dad, when you said it was a mistake, I thought—" Her voice cracked. "I thought you were gonna leave like everyone else." Beverly sat beside her. "Baby, I'm not leaving." "But you said—" "I said I was scared." "Which is true. I am scared. But being scared doesn't mean I'm running." Beverly took Emma's hand. "Your daddy asked me what I wanted, and I didn't have an answer. Because for 10 years, I didn't let myself want anything except to take care of y'all. I didn't think I was allowed to want more. Why not? Because I'm the nanny. I'm the help. And people like me, black women from the East Side who work in houses like this, we're not supposed to want to stay. We're not supposed to fall in love with the family. We're not supposed to want to be part of something that was never meant to be ours." Emma's eyes filled. "But you are part of this family. You've always been. I know that now. But it took your daddy almost marrying the wrong person and you standing up in a church to make me see it." Beverly squeezed Emma's hand. "I'm sorry I scared you last night. I'm sorry I let my fear make me say things I didn't mean. But I need you to know, all 3 of you, that I love y'all. I've loved you since the day I walked into this house and saw 3 broken kids who needed someone to stay. And I'm not going anywhere. Even though people are saying terrible things about you? Even though Grandmother Margaret hates you? Even though it's gonna be hard." Beverly smiled through tears. "Especially because it's gonna be hard. Because you 3 are worth fighting for. And I'm done letting fear make my decisions." Emma launched herself at Beverly, holding tight. "I love you, Bev. I don't care what anyone says. You're my mom. You've been my mom since I was 8 years old." "Baby." "No, listen. I know I had another mom. I know she loved me and she wanted to be here. But she's not here. You are. You're the one who taught me to drive. You're the one who helped me with college essays. You're the one who sat with me when I had my first heartbreak. That's what a mom does. And I don't care if it's unconventional or if people don't understand. You're my mom. And I want everyone to know it." Beverly's chest cracked open. She held Emma close and let herself cry. Not tears of fear or shame, but tears of relief. Of finally letting herself believe she belonged. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." Carter came home at 6 to find the 4 of them in the kitchen making tacos. Beverly had called him and told him to come home early. They needed to talk. All of them. He stood in the doorway, watching them move around each other with practiced ease. Dylan grating cheese, Emma chopping tomatoes, Grace setting the table, Beverly at the stove. A family. His family. "Hey," he said softly. 4 heads turned. Grace squealed and ran to him. "Daddy, we're making tacos." "I see that." He picked her up even though she was getting too big for it. "Smells good." Beverly met his eyes across the kitchen. Something had changed in her face. She looked settled, like she'd made a decision. "Dinner in 10, she said. "Then we need to have a family meeting." They ate at the kitchen table, not the formal dining room. Paper plates, no ceremony. Dylan told a story about basketball practice. Emma complained about her AP Lit teacher. Grace talked about the frog they were studying in science class. Normal. Except Carter kept glancing at Beverly, trying to read her face, and she kept her eyes on her plate. After dinner, Beverly cleared her throat. "Okay. Family meeting time." The kids went quiet. Carter's stomach tightened. "I need to say some things," Beverly started. "And I need y'all to listen. All of you." She looked at each of them in turn. "First, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the past few days. For being scared. For almost running. For making you worry that I was gonna leave." "Bev," Carter started. "Let me finish." Her voice was gentle but firm. "I've spent my whole life being careful. Being small. Not asking for too much. And when your kids stood up in that church on Sunday, it terrified me. Because suddenly I wasn't invisible anymore. Suddenly everyone was looking at me. And I didn't know how to handle that." Grace's hand crept into Beverly's. "But you're not leaving." "No, baby. I'm not leaving. But things need to change." Beverly took a breath. "I can't keep being just the nanny. I can't keep living in that little room off the kitchen and pretending I'm just here to do a job. Because the truth is, I stopped being just the nanny years ago. I'm part of this family. And if I'm gonna stay, I need to be treated like family. Not like an employee." "You are family," Dylan said immediately. "I know. But you're daddy and I need to figure out what that actually means. What it looks like. How we," she glanced at Carter. "How we move forward." Carter's throat was tight. "What do you want it to look like?" "I don't know yet. But I know I can't keep hiding. Can't keep making myself small. Can't keep apologizing for taking up space." Beverly's voice strengthened. "Charleston's gonna talk. Your mother's gonna fight. People are gonna judge. But I'm done letting that control my life. I'm done letting fear win." Emma was crying. "Does this mean you and Dad are?" "We're figuring it out," Beverly said softly. "But yeah, your dad and I, we have feelings for each other. Have for a while. We were just too scared to admit it." "I'm not scared anymore," Carter said. His voice was rough. "Or I am. But I'm more scared of losing you than I am of what anyone thinks." "Good." Beverly met his eyes. "Because I'm about to make a really big ask." "Anything. Tomorrow morning, I want you to call a press conference. I want you to tell Charleston, tell everyone, the truth. That I've been here for 10 years. That your kids love me. That you love me. That we're together. That this isn't a scandal or a mistake. It's just us." Carter stared at her. "You want to go public." "I want to stop hiding. I want to stop letting other people control our narrative. I want to tell our story. Our way." Beverly's hands trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. "I'm done being ashamed. Done acting like what we have is something dirty or wrong. Done letting your mother and TMZ and Charleston society make me feel like I don't deserve this." "Bev, I know it's gonna be hard. I know it's gonna open us up to more scrutiny. But I'm tired of being scared. And I think," she looked at the kids, "I think these 3 deserve to see us fight for this. Deserve to see us stand up and say we're not ashamed." Grace was bouncing in her seat. "Like a real family. We already are a real family, baby. We just haven't been letting anyone else see it." Emma wiped her eyes. "So you're really staying? For real? For real? And you and Dad are?" "Together," Beverly said firmly. "If he'll have me." Carter crossed the kitchen in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms. "If I'll have you. Bev, I've been yours for years. I just didn't have the guts to say it." He kissed her, right there in front of the kids, and Beverly kissed him back. No hiding. No shame. Just them. Ew. Grace shrieked, giggling. Dad's kissing Bev. About time, Dylan muttered. Emma was full-on sobbing now. This is so beautiful. I need to document this. Where's my phone? No posting. Beverly said, pulling back from Carter but staying in his arms. Not yet. Let us get through the press conference first. Fine. But I'm telling Grandpa Marcus. Emma was already typing. Carter laughed against Beverly's hair. My brother's gonna say, I told you so. He's been telling me to wake up and see you for 3 years. Smart man. Beverly looked up at him. You sure about this? Once we go public, there's no taking it back. Good. I don't want to take it back. His arms tightened around her. I want everyone to know. Want my mother to know. Want all of Charleston to know. You're mine. We're together. And I don't give a damn what anyone thinks about it. Your board of directors might care. Then I'll remind them my personal life is personal. And if they don't like it, I'll buy them out. He cupped her face. I'm not losing you, Bev. Not for the company. Not for my mother. Not for Charleston society. Not for anyone. Okay. She smiled through tears. Okay. Grace climbed into both of their laps somehow, wedging herself between them. Does this mean Bev's gonna be my mom for real? Beverly's breath caught. Carter's eyes met hers over Grace's head. Do you want that? Beverly asked softly. Yes. Grace wrapped her arms around Beverly's neck. I want you to be my mom. Not just pretend. For real. Emma and Dylan had moved closer, forming a circle around them. Emma's hand on Beverly's shoulder. Dylan's hand on Carter's back. We all want that, Emma said quietly. We've wanted it for years. We just didn't know how to say it. Beverly looked at these 3 kids, not kids anymore, really. Emma 18 and heading to college. Dylan 15 and taller than her. Grace 8 but growing every day. These 3 humans she'd raised, loved, fought for. Then I'm your mom, Beverly said, voice breaking. For real. If that's what you want. It is, Dylan said. 16 words in front of his dad, but 1,000 in his eyes. It is, Emma echoed. It is. Grace squeezed tighter. They stood there in the kitchen, all 5 of them tangled together, and Beverly finally let herself believe it. She wasn't the nanny. She wasn't the help. She wasn't just taking up space in someone else's life. She was home. The press conference was scheduled for 10 a.m. Wednesday at Bennett Industries headquarters. Carter's PR team tried to talk him out of it. Let us handle this quietly. A statement is enough. You don't owe anyone an explanation, but Carter insisted. Beverly woke up at 6, nerves eating at her stomach. She stood in front of her closet, the small closet in the small room off the kitchen that she'd lived in for 10 years, and realized she had nothing appropriate to wear to a press conference. A knock on her door. Emma, holding a garment bag. Thought you might need this. Emma unzipped it to reveal a beautiful emerald green dress. It's from my closet, but it'll fit you. I wore it to homecoming last year. Emma, I can't. Yes, you can. And you will. Emma thrust the dress at her. You're not wearing navy blue. You're not blending into the background. You're wearing something that makes you look as amazing as you are. 30 minutes later, Beverly stared at herself in the mirror. The dress fit perfectly, hitting just below her knee, showing her figure without being inappropriate. Emma had done her makeup, nothing fancy, just enough, and convinced her to wear her hair natural, curls full and free instead of pulled back in her usual bun. She looked good, confident, like someone who belonged at a press conference. Perfect, Emma breathed. Dad's gonna lose his mind. She was right. When Beverly came upstairs, Carter stopped mid-conversation with Marcus, phone dropping to his side. Wow, he said softly. Marcus grinned. Down, boy. You've got a press conference to focus on. Right. Focus. But Carter couldn't stop staring. You look, Bev, you look incredible. Emma picked it out. Smart girl. He crossed to Beverly, took her hands. You ready for this? No. But I'm doing it anyway. That's my girl. The drive to Bennett Industries was quiet. Marcus drove, Emma rode shotgun, she'd insisted on coming, and Beverly and Carter sat in the back. His hand never left hers. If it gets too intense, he murmured, squeeze my hand twice. We'll end it. I'm not running this time. I know. But the option's there. Bennett Industries headquarters was a sleek glass building downtown. The press conference was set up in the main conference room. Podium, microphones, too many cameras. Beverly's stomach turned as they walked in. The room was packed. Local news, national outlets, bloggers, reporters. She recognized a few faces from Charleston society, here to watch the scandal unfold. Margaret Bennett sat in the third row, face like stone. Carter squeezed Beverly's hand. Last chance to back out. No. Let's do this. They walked to the podium together. The room went silent, cameras flashing. Carter stepped up to the microphone first. Thank you all for coming. I know the past few days have generated a lot of speculation and, frankly, some pretty ugly rumors. I'm here today to set the record straight. He paused. 10 years ago, my wife Sarah died suddenly. I was left with 3 children under the age of 8, a company on the verge of bankruptcy, and absolutely no idea how to do any of it alone. I hired Beverly Washington to help with childcare. Temporary, I thought. Just until I got back on my feet. He glanced at Beverly. She never left. For 10 years, Beverly has been the constant in my children's lives. She's been there for every milestone, every crisis, every moment that mattered. She kept our family together when I was falling apart. She loved my children when they needed it most. And somewhere along the way, honestly, probably a lot earlier than I'm willing to admit, I fell in love with her. Murmurs rippled through the room. Cameras flashed harder. I know what people are saying. That it's inappropriate. That she's the help. That this is a scandal. But here's the truth. Beverly Washington is the most honest, brave, selfless person I've ever known. She didn't pursue me. She didn't manipulate anyone. She did her job with more love and dedication than anyone had a right to expect. And if loving her makes me a scandal, then I'm fine with that. Because I'm not ashamed. I'm grateful. He stepped back. Beverly's heart hammered. This was her moment. She stepped up to the microphone, hands shaking, and looked out at all those faces. All those cameras. Margaret's furious expression. Reporters poised to write whatever narrative they wanted. But she also saw Emma in the front row, giving her a thumbs up. Saw Marcus nodding encouragement. Saw Carter beside her, solid and sure. My name is Beverly Washington, she said, voice steadier than she felt. I grew up on the east side of Charleston. My mama cleaned houses. My daddy worked construction. I put myself through community college taking care of other people's children. I've been a nanny for 15 years. I love what I do. I love caring for families. I love helping children grow. She took a breath. 10 years ago, I took a job with the Bennett family. It was supposed to be temporary. But those 3 kids, Emma, Dylan, and Grace, they needed someone to stay. So I did. I showed up every day. I made breakfast. I helped with homework. I went to games and recitals and parent-teacher conferences. I held them when they cried. I celebrated with them when they succeeded. I loved them. Her voice strengthened. I didn't plan to fall in love with their father. I fought it for years. Because I knew what people would say. I knew what it would look like. I knew that someone like me, a black woman from the east side working in a white billionaire's house, I knew people would assume the worst. Would say I was a gold digger. A manipulator. Someone trying to take advantage. She looked directly at Margaret. But I'm none of those things. I'm just a woman who loves 3 children and the man who made them. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not apologizing for it. And I'm not running from it anymore. She turned to Carter. I love you. I love your children. I love the family we've built. And I don't care if Charleston approves. I don't care if this is unconventional. I don't care if people think I don't belong. Because I do belong. With you. With them. And I'm done letting anyone make me feel otherwise." The room erupted. Questions flying, cameras flashing, voices overlapping. But Carter pulled Beverly to him and kissed her, right there at the podium, in front of everyone. And Beverly kissed him back. No hiding, no shame, just love. When they broke apart, Emma was crying in the front row. Marcus was grinning. And Margaret had stood up and walked out. Carter took the microphone again. "No further questions. This is my family. This is our truth. And we're done explaining ourselves." He took Beverly's hand, and they walked out together. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Social media exploded. Hashtag Beverly Washington trended on Twitter. TikTok was flooded with reaction videos. People crying, people celebrating, people sharing their own stories of unconventional families. Asterisk, "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." Asterisk. Asterisk, "A woman standing up for herself and her family? Yes." Asterisk. Asterisk, "Carter Bennett is lucky to have her." Asterisk. Asterisk, "Those kids chose her and I'm not crying, you're crying." Asterisk. There were haters too, of course. People calling Beverly a gold digger, saying she manipulated the situation, claiming she'd stolen someone else's family. Margaret gave an interview to the Charleston Post and Courier calling the whole thing deeply inappropriate and a betrayal of my daughter-in-law's memory. But for every negative comment, there were 10 positive ones. Support flooded in from unexpected places. Other nannies sharing their stories, interracial couples, blended families, people who understood that love didn't always fit neat categories. That evening, Beverly stood in the Bennett house kitchen. Her kitchen, she was starting to think of it. Making dinner while the kids did homework at the table. Normal. Except everything had changed. Carter came up behind her, arms sliding around her waist. "Hey. Hey yourself." She leaned back into him. "My mother called. Told me I'm cut out of her will. I'm sorry. I'm not." He kissed her temple. Marcus texted. "The board's fine with everything. Stock prices actually went up. Apparently people like the modern love story angle." Modern love story. Beverly smiled. "Is that what we are? We're something." His arms tightened. "We're us. And that's enough." Grace looked up from her math homework. "Bev, when are you moving out of that tiny room?" Beverly froze. She and Carter hadn't talked about that yet. About what this actually looked like day to day. About where she'd sleep. About tomorrow, Carter said firmly. "We're moving you into the guest suite. The big one with the view of the harbor. You've been cramped in that closet for 10 years. That's done. Carter. No arguments. Your family. You get a real room." He paused. "Unless you want. I mean, we could." He was blushing. Beverly realized what he was trying to say. "Let's start with the guest suite," she said softly. "We can take this slow. Figure things out as we go. Okay." He looked relieved. "Slow is good. Dad." Emma looked up from her laptop. "Someone started a GoFundMe to send Bev flowers. It's at $30,000. "What?" Beverly blinked. "Yeah. Says it's to celebrate Beverly Washington for being an inspiration. And all the money's going to it's going to a scholarship fund for nannies and domestic workers who want to go to college. They named it after you." Beverly's throat closed. "They what?" Emma turned her laptop around. Sure enough, there was her name. The Beverly Washington Scholarship Fund for Domestic Workers. "People love you, Bev," Emma said softly. "You stood up there today and told the truth and people saw themselves in you. You're not just Carter Bennett's girlfriend. You're Beverly Washington. And people think you're pretty amazing." Beverly sank into a chair, overwhelmed. She'd spent her whole life invisible. And now people were naming scholarships after her. "You okay?" Carter crouched beside her. "I don't know." She laughed wetly. I think so. It's a lot. Too much. No. Just different. She looked around the kitchen at these 4 people who'd become her world. Good different. That night, after the kids were in bed, Beverly packed up her small room off the kitchen. 10 years of her life in boxes. It didn't take long. She'd never accumulated much. Never let herself get too comfortable. But as she carried the last box up to the guest suite, Carter waiting to help her unpack, she realized this was her home now. Not just the room. The whole house. The whole life. She was home. 6 months later. Emma's high school graduation was a perfect Charleston day. Warm but not too hot, sky bright blue, magnolias blooming everywhere. Beverly sat in the second row with Dylan and Grace, watching Emma walk across the stage to accept her diploma. "That's my sister," Grace yelled, making everyone around them laugh. Emma found them afterward, cap crooked, gown already half off. "I did it. We're so proud of you, baby," Beverly said, pulling her into a hug. Mom, Emma corrected. "You gotta get used to saying it. It's been 6 months. Mom." The words still felt new and precious in Beverly's mouth. But Emma had insisted, after the press conference. "You're my mom. Just say it." Carter appeared, camera in hand. Family photo. They gathered together. Carter, Beverly, Emma, Dylan, and Grace. A family that didn't fit neat categories. A family that Charleston society had tried to tear apart. A family that had fought to stay together. "Say cheese." Carter called. "Cheese." They chorused. The camera clicked. Beverly looked at the preview. 5 people grinning, arms around each other, happy. "Real. Perfect," Carter murmured. "Absolutely perfect." Later, at Emma's graduation party in the backyard, Beverly stood on the porch watching. The house was full of people. Emma's friends, Dylan's basketball team, Grace's little crew from school, Marcus and his wife, Keisha and her husband, even a few of Carter's business partners who'd stood by them through the scandal. Margaret hadn't come. Beverly hadn't expected her to. But Margaret's absence didn't hurt the way it might have 6 months ago. Because this right here was her family. The one she'd chosen. The one who'd chosen her. "You look happy," Carter said, sliding an arm around her waist. "I am happy." "Good." He kissed her temple. "Because I have something to ask you." "Oh." He turned her to face him, suddenly nervous in a way she'd never seen before. "Beverly Washington. I know we said we'd take this slow. I know it's only been 6 months. But I've loved you for years. And I don't want to wait anymore." He dropped to one knee. Grace shrieked. Emma gasped. Dylan's jaw dropped. "Will you marry me?" Carter held up a ring. Emerald, her favorite. "Will you be my wife officially? Will you let me spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you?" Beverly's vision blurred. She looked at the kids, Emma crying, Dylan grinning, Grace bouncing. She looked at Keisha whooping in the background. She looked at Carter on his knee, looking at her like she was everything. "You already deserve me," she said softly. "You chose me. You fought for me. You made me believe I was worthy of taking up space. Is that a yes?" "That's a yes." She pulled him up and kissed him. "Yes, I'll marry you. Yes to all of it." The backyard erupted in cheers. Grace tackled them both. Emma was full-on sobbing. Dylan gave them both a thumbs up from across the yard, as close to emotional as he got in public. That night, long after the party ended, Beverly stood in the kitchen cleaning up. The ring on her finger caught the light. She smiled, thinking about everything that had brought her here. 10 years ago, she'd walked into this house as the nanny. Temporary. Professional. Invisible. And now she was home. She was family. She was loved. And she was done apologizing for taking up space. "Bev." Grace appeared in pajamas, Mr. Whiskers tucked under her arm. "Can you tuck me in?" "Of course, baby." As Beverly followed Grace upstairs, past the photos that now included her, past the guest suite that was now her room, past the life she'd helped build, She thought about that scared woman in the back pew of St. Michael's Episcopal. That woman had been invisible. But Beverly Washington, fiancée, mother, fighter, she was anything but invisible now. And she was finally okay with being seen. What would you rate this story? Drop 0 to 10 in the comments right now. If this story moved you, hit subscribe for more emotional journeys every week. And if it truly touched your heart, consider leaving a super thanks. Your support helps us create more stories like this. Every contribution, big or small, means the world. Ready for the next story? It's even more dramatic than this one. Click now. Thank you for being part of this journey.